If you are buying a house, this is a video you definitely want to watch. The pressure. Home inspections. We need to get real about them. Now, before I start, I've been a mortgage lender for the last 18 years. My team's licensed in, and we do loans in all 50 states. What I'm going to be talking about is based on my personal experience as a home buyer, but also I close over 500 purchase loans a year. I see some stuff. So I'm going to be sharing with you what to watch out for. If you guys have questions or you're like, I want to maybe work with your team, Jen, 786-933-2077. Or if you want to make sure you're getting a good deal, we're always happy to compare. Okay, home inspections. Look, as a lender, we actually don't require home inspections on most loan types. If you're a veteran, we may need a pest report, but we're never asking for a home inspection, a sewer scope, a mold report, stuff like that. A lender would only call out if we saw something serious on the appraisal. How many mold reports have I called out as a lender this year? One? Maybe one? Yeah. So just because I, as a lender, am not calling it out does not mean you should not get it, okay? That's really important for people to know, because you may be working with a real estate agent that says, well, if your lender doesn't need it, you don't. No, you do. You do. I know, it's like a ghost. Woo! Anyways, the reason you want inspections is for a couple different reasons. Number one, you need to know if you can actually afford the house. People are always thinking about the monthly payment, but they're not thinking about the cost of repairing or maintaining the house. Just because a house looks picture perfect does not mean it is. Reports go deeper, okay? So it's a great budgeting tool, also knowing if you can afford the house. Number two, negotiations, guys. That's the one that always kills me. I was talking to a client recently and they're like, oh, the real estate agent said we couldn't negotiate after we get inspections unless there's something really, really wrong. There's nothing in their contract that says that. Of course you can negotiate. We are in the market for negotiations right now. That is your right as a home buyer to negotiate. So inspections can be very, very good for negotiating, but also they're good to make sure you're getting a fair price. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the inspections that I recently did, because I'm in the process of buying a house as I film this. This is not my first house, so we'll be talking about some of the mistakes that I made over the years as well. Number one, sometimes people say, well, I looked at the house, it looks good, I don't need any inspections. Oh, don't do that, guys. I did that once. I did. I bought a house once with no inspections. Yeah, the roof leaked on us for 6 years. I have been fighting mold in that place like it's a full-time job. We finally got it eradicated after 6 years. Get inspections, okay? Get inspections. And if the seller says they will not sell you the house if you get inspections, it's probably because something is wrong. That's the thing. A seller that doesn't have anything to hide is not offended by inspections. The house that I'm in contract on right now, we wrote an offer the first day it was on the market, okay? We wrote an offer before it even had an open house. So that's one of those situations where a real estate agent may say, oh, don't do inspections, they may not accept it. I told them I was gonna do all the inspections, and the seller's like, okay, cool, bring it on. They're not worried. That's the thing, guys. They're not worried. They're like, we're not trying to sell you a crap house, so if you want to inspect it, like, cool. So don't get talked out of inspections. If a real estate agent says, okay, well, you can do inspections, but they're for information only, no, why are you putting that? Like, that means you can just know that you're about to be in a money pit. It doesn't mean you can negotiate or do anything else. So make sure you understand what your real estate agent is saying. Next, how do I pick an inspector? Look, I would start with the real estate agent's recommendation, but then I would be on Google reviews. So the agent that I'm working with, I've known for years. She's helped a ton of clients. We've never heard a bad word about her. I still checked. I still checked on Google reviews, the inspector she recommended. It's just who I am now. And look, they had hundreds and hundreds of 5-star reviews, and they were real. They were detailed, so I felt very, very confident ordering my inspections with them. Also, they offered all the inspections I wanted, which is important because a lot of times people go, okay, I guess I just need a home inspection. That's the bare minimum, friends, the bare minimum. Now, let me just state this one more time. do not send your lender, your loan officer, any of your inspections unless we ask for it. This is for you and your real estate agent, okay? So if you look up who your real estate agent's recommending and you're like, I don't know about this, they don't even have any reviews, do some research, interview a couple home inspectors, because I would argue the home inspector is as important as the real estate agent and the lender. Look, my job as the money is to make sure you can afford the payment, make sure you're in a loan you can understand. I'm the math. The real estate agent's job is to help you find a house that you like, that you're going to be happy in. They're the home. The home inspector, yeah, their job is to make sure the home is not going to bankrupt you. They show you what's going to happen, and that is where they're so important. Okay, so let's say that you found your inspector. What should you expect with cost? I'm going to use real cost of what I just paid. Now, this was in Florida. This was actually in the Jacksonville area. So if you guys are looking in Jacksonville, I like House Scan. I thought they were awesome. Okay, so the home inspection. Now look, I got a zooped up home inspection. It includes wind mitigation, 4-point, and an infrared scan. Florida, you want the wind mitigation and 4-point because it's going to help you get more affordable insurance. If you're not in Florida, we don't usually see that. The infrared scan, I would be suggesting to everyone. That's where they take that little scanner and they look at the wall, and they're trying to see if it has moisture. Highly, 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 highly recommend. Highly recommend. Cannot recommend it enough. So for all of that, it was $735. That was the home inspection, the wind mitigation, the 4-point, and the infrared scan. Now, if I wasn't getting all of that, the prices start at $400. But I would definitely say, I don't care where you are in the country, do a home inspection and do that infrared scan. Make sure that's there. I also did a mold inspection. I did a video recently about how I think everyone in high humidity areas should be doing a mold inspection. I was really blown away coming from California to Florida. I remember our real estate agent in Miami, Michelle, she's so wonderful, and her son Devin, they're like, you need to keep the air conditioning at 76 or below, even if you're not home. And I'm like, dude, why? What's going on? But then I started researching and realized if you turn that air conditioning off because you're gone for a couple months in summer or something, or a couple weeks, you can get mold. So if you're in a high humidity area, you want a mold inspection, because especially if you're buying a house, even new construction, like what if the air conditioning wasn't on? What if it got a bunch of humidity? What's in the ducts? So mold inspection was $275. The basic mold inspection did 1,500 square feet. So for an additional $75, you could do another sample, which is another 1,500 square feet. So if you're buying like a 2,000 square foot house, would I just do one? No, I would do two. So it's just another $75 to get more square footage. In my case, I went overboard, guys. I had an air sample in every single bedroom and the offices, and it's because mold is one of my big fears. So yeah, I spent a lot to do that, but because of my anxiety around it, it was worth it. So I'm going over the cost of this with you guys for my budgeters, so you guys can kind of start thinking about like what your triggers are, so you're budgeting appropriately. I also did a sewer scope inspection. A sewer scope inspection is something I think everybody should be doing as well. That was $200. It's an inspection of the sewer lateral with a sewer camera. So you're like, what does that even mean? Look, the place I'm buying has big trees. A lot of where my buyers are buying have big trees. Trees can destroy. They can destroy plumbing, and if they do, it's incredibly expensive. Now, is this camera going through all the plumbing in the house? No, but it's going through the plumbing that goes from the house to the street. And if you have an issue there, it's very expensive, and you're gonna have horrible issues in your house. That's how you end up with those horror videos of toilets overflowing. Yeah, so if you can afford it, yeah, I would definitely recommend a sewer scope, 100%. What else? Pest inspection. Yeah, look, I'm not a veteran. I'm still getting the pest inspection. Why? Well, in this case, guys, I found out that a whole back staircase was riddled with dry rot. Like, that's a big deal. So I do think having a pest inspection is a good idea. it was $180. It would have been $155, but we wanted same day because I'm an anxious buyer. Okay, what else? The house also has a pool. So there's parts of the country where it's pretty normal to have a pool, other parts of the country where it's not. Doesn't matter where you live, get a pool inspection. The pool inspection was $289. I didn't get a pool inspection when I bought this place that I'm in right now. This is the same house where I trusted the seller's inspections. And you're like, oh no, Jen, what was up? Guys, the pool had a leak. I've tried to fix that pool leak like 400 times. I've spent at this point over $15,000 trying to figure out where that pool leak is, okay? Get the pool inspection. So how much did I spend on inspections? Well, with all the extra mold tests, I was at about $2,000. I actually spoke with a client recently who's not doing all the mold tests. They're using the same company and they were at about $1,500 doing all the same stuff except for the 8 zillion mold inspections. What did we find, right? Because that's always the question is, was it worth it? Yeah, guys, it was so worth it. So first of all, I got all the reports back the next day. And we see that with most inspection companies around the country. Mine was really cool. It broke it down to like what was a minor concern, what was a moderate concern, and what was like a big, like, oh, major concern. And then they had videos too. So it was really cool. Like they had videoed themselves like, you know, here's the water, here's how it drains. Here's, you know, us trying to light the kitchen, it not working. Here's the fireplace that doesn't work, you know, and they list it all out and they have pictures, they have descriptions. What was really cool about these guys is I couldn't be there. Luckily, once again, I have an agent that I trust, Sandy Miller, trust her so much, but they also FaceTimed with me. So after they were done, they did a FaceTime with me. They showed me, hey, this is what we thought, this is what we didn't think. And I could say, well, did you see this or that? And they're like, yeah, we saw this or that. And it was really nice. So when you're interviewing those inspectors, especially if you can't be at the inspection, make sure they'll FaceTime you and walk you through stuff. So what else did we find? Okay, so we got these great reports. The mold report came a couple days later. That was my biggest fear. Clean, no mold. Woo! That was good. I feel better knowing there's no mold. The pest inspection I talked about earlier, we saw that there was a back staircase that has a lot of rot. That's going to have to be totally rebuilt and replaced. Paying $180 for that inspection told me, hey, Jen, you're going to be spending, you know, $8,000 probably to replace that staircase. Realistically, 8 to 10. So that report was so worth it because ultimately what we did is I gave all the reports to the seller and we did do some negotiating. The other stuff that the report came back with, the house has a new roof, but it already has some minor damage to the roof. And look, if it was a 5 or 10 year roof, would I have gone back over minor damage? No, but the roof's only 2 months old. And I wanted to have the seller get the company that did the roof to fix it, because sometimes people go, oh, well, I'll just fix it myself. You can void the warranty, guys. You got to think like this. You got to think about if there's anything new in that house, does it have a warranty and could you void it? So it was super helpful to see that we already had those issues because it really made us dig into, okay, who is this roofing company? What is their warranty? You know, right now, as I film this, they're going out there to fix the very minor damage. What else did it come up with? Okay, so the description of the house had said, oh, this is a chef's kitchen. It's so beautiful. I don't cook, but I like to fantasize that I will. And the oven had a hole in it. It was the first time I'd ever seen a hole in an oven, but it was there. So of course, like that's the thing. There was all this like kind of nickel dime stuff where some of it was major. And look, what'd the house look like in pictures? Perfect. What'd the house look like when our agent's going through it on FaceTime? Perfect. I haven't actually seen the house yet. I know. I'm going military style on this house. But that's the thing. You may think a house looks perfect. It may look perfect in pictures. You may be sold that it's a chef's kitchen and then find out that the appliances are at their end of their life, that there's a hole in the oven. You know, we found out that the water heater was 16 years old. Like, that is way past its life. So I got to put in a new water heater. We found out the pool heater doesn't work. You know, all the stuff that we found out was stuff where if I had known that when I originally wrote the offer, I wouldn't have written it at that price. So by having all these inspections, my agent and I went through it. There was a lot that we didn't ask for that were like, this is normal deferred maintenance, but the bigger stuff we did. And some of it the seller's fixing prior to close, and some of it I got as a seller credit towards closing costs. So look, inspections are designed to make sure that you can afford the house you're buying, but also to make sure that you're buying the house at the price that it's worth. So get your inspections, please, and make sure you're researching that inspector. I'm super glad that I did. I'm very excited about seeing the house after close. That could be a real funny video, guys. But yes, get your inspections, put some money aside, make sure you do them. Thanks for watching.